们家正在包饺子。哎，姑姑，菏泽话饺子怎么说啊？
菏泽话说饺子说边食，
普通话叫水饺。
老妈，那蒙古语呢？
边西。
英语怎么说啊？
英语叫 dumpling。This is G9, my home in Shandong Province, China. My mother comes from Inner Mongolia, where we speak Mongolian. My father was born in G9 and speaks G9. However, his parents are from Heze and speak Heze dialect. Our family is small, but it has integrated a variety of dialects, which span near half of China. I was born and grew up in Jinan, learning its rich cultural heritage and simplicity. I have traveled to the United States to explore the diversity of culture in the new language development. I have also been to Inner Mongolia to record the unique lifestyle of ethnic minorities. When experiencing the different scenarios and diverse cultures, I found that the language was the most vivid and impressive element. Language is a tool of communication, a carrier of culture and a witness of the history. With the multiplication, migration, and integration of human beings, language of different regions and ethnic groups have been passed down from generation to generation, reflecting distinguished geological, folk, dietary, and cultural characteristics. Until now, it is full of vitality under the tide of globalization. The protection of language diversity is an essential part to maintain the diversity of human cultural genes.
老婶儿，
干嘛呢你？
刚晒嘞。
In the early morning light, we hear the shouting of Timur in the old valleys of Jinan, and the bargaining for Laoshi in the hustle and bustle of vegetable stalls. In a warm winter song, we hear the queries of Swanzer intervening with the Jinan dialect and the folks' day-to-day activities.
我还没喝过。
However, these things are becoming rare and may even fade away. In order to retain the joyification and the beauty, I started from the current situation of the use of Jinan dialect, approaches to people of different ages and regions in Jinan, and looked at their attitude towards the use, inheritance, and the development of Jinan dialect.
无论走到哪儿，很接地气儿。哪儿来的？济南的，济南哪儿的？大明湖的，这多好啊！
我是土生土长的济南人，我还是以济南话为主，因为我这个岁数在这儿。你像现在年轻的他们都是出去说普通话，而且家乡方言他都不会了。我们家小孩，我现在我也适当的教他济南话。人有句话说，乡音难改，你走到哪儿，你不能忘了家乡的味道。你现在在学校也属于交流，同学们都是说那个普通话，但是回到家，我跟他说的大多数都是用济南方言都说。
平时也刻意的有学一些济南话，好像说一些济南话，对这个城市就有一点归属感，或者说有一种身份的认同感。
对，其实我了解济南，感觉好像也是从方言开始，因为方言它有时候里边会包含一些济南的这种老的这个说法也好，然后老的文化也好，所以我觉得方言里边其实是包含了很多值得我们去了解，然后值得我们再去深入的再学习的东西。
有的时候小孩也是问，你说的是什么？哦，我再给他解释，就济南话是什么样，普通话是怎样讲，是这样。既然是济南人嘛，我觉得你必须得会说济南话。你不说济南话，你还算济南人吗？我觉着必须得传承。我觉着多多少少得懂一点，能听懂济南话就行啊。 你普遍的去各个地方什么的，全国都说普通话、济南话，是有些地方也，我觉得也别人听不懂，但是在济南一定要说济南话。
对，不太说济南话了，但基本上晚上的话，在这边巷子里还是会有很多人都去说这个济南话，只是说可能少一些了，因为基本是老一辈儿的这个在说，爷爷奶奶辈儿的。现在咱们是普通话这个宣传，基本上大家都说普通话了之类的。我们可能自己跟父母的交流会用济南话，孩子可能也会听着去学，这种潜移默化。他不是说我就刻板的去教，这个我们自己确实做不到。现在基本上都是潜移默化这种带的。
Online research indicates that Jinan dialect is in a relatively weak proportion in communication. In terms of the use scenario, the language choice of the communication object and the communication atmosphere will affect whether its use is as a dialect. The proportion of the use in closed sense is also significantly lower than that in the open sense. In terms of the users, the proportion of Jinan dialect used by the young generation is obviously lower than that of the elderly people. And compared with elderly people, the young generation are less proficient in speaking and understanding Jinan dialect. If it goes on like this, the gradual disappearance of Jinan dialect may become a fact.
那中华民族的文化不是仅仅中原文化，对吧？甚至这不是仅仅的北京文化，对不对哈？方言里头留下的文化的东西，是我们有些那个就是我们现在的普通话里头所不能涵盖的有一些啊。你像你现在的这戏曲，你不就看出来了吗？对吧？就是说我们的京剧都不是说是今天的北京话来的，南京话啊那边可能和北京话的一个融合。
It is gratifying to say that more than 80% of the respondents believes that the Jinan dialect is important. Furthermore, more than 70% want the dialect to be more widely used. In addition, more than half of the respondents want their children to be able to speak the Jinan dialect. As people who have worked and lived in Jinan for many years, they have deep feeling of Jinan dialect and hope that it can be used better protected and continued to be passed down. The consensus is to preserve the Jinan dialect. This park is designed with the Jinan dialect as the same. There are stories told and sculptures with signs to explain them in the Jinan dialect, conveying the traditional culture of Jinan. As a branch of the language, dialect is the most vivid part of language and the carrier of regional culture. It has the research value of folk costume, history, geographic, and humanitic concept. Diversity makes the world a splendid place and bring culture together. Protecting dialect is to protect the distinct culture behind the dialect, and passing on the dialect is to pass on a precious gem of human culture. It is time for us to protect the dialect.